Alrighty, so we are back, and today we are going to be talking about what seems to be a controversial character here in Dokkan, and you can tell just by looking at the screen, it is going to be LR Evolution Blue Vegeta. Now, there's been quite some animated discourse about this character, where people have him, where people will have him somehow in the top 10, or people will say he's literally not even top 30. So, what I wanted to decide to do was do sort of a community discussion and interaction type of video. That way I could get you guys involved and hear what you have to say about the character. So you guys can see I put out a tweet saying, now that it has been a bit since Evolution Blue Vegeta has released, do you guys think he was fumbled? If so, let me know, how would you fix him? This will be for a video, so offered it up to you guys. How would you fix the character? But you know, it's just one of those situations that we're in here where it's unfortunate that we even have to make this video, considering that he's an anniversary headliner. So I am not alone. I figured for a video like this, it would be fun to have someone he's got his education degree in Dokkan battle, if you will. I have a returning guest here, Minato. Minato, how you doing today?
You know, I heavily consider just not saying anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be funny, but now I'm here. Hello. I made a video about this specific topic already, so I feel like I am like ready to kind of see more of the community aspect, because that video, I would be real, it was just me like at like 2 a.m. and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I really hate this character's design. So I'm very excited to talk about it, because I've seen there are people who are defending this unit. I've seen that, and most people aren't, right, being fair, but like, you know, there are certain people who will defend this unit, and it's such a weird situation, because he's not bad, like he's a good overall character, but he's not a great overall character is what I would say.
Right. And I lost this train of thought at the beginning of the video for some reason when I was doing the intro, but like when I say like he's been released, this isn't like private server implications here where we don't know how the character's going to overall look, right? Everybody's got him in the game, or not, you know what I mean by everybody, but like players have him in game.
Okay, 50, if you got shafted and you got zero Evolution Vegetas, let me know in the comment section below. So
there you go.
High five.
Yeah, but 55 people, a lot of people have it 55%, some people have it 69%, and it's like, you know, we've seen all the varying levels, we've seen all the different situations and stuff like that, and I want to hit one point home, that a comparison that this character has kind of gotten before we even get into what everybody has said, right? And Minato, you probably know where I'm going with this, right? But the character, fittingly enough, is the same typing. People have been calling this guy the second coming of LR Cooler, but to kind of put that to bed right away, like Cooler was, I don't remember the exact spot, but I can tell you for sure he was top 10 on release, and this Evolution Blue Vegeta is certainly not. Where it's just like they have similar designs in terms of all the additionals that they're doing, but Cooler in terms of the scope of the game was way better than what this Evolution Blue Vegeta was in terms of like his status to the rest of the game, I would believe.
It's not even just that. I actually don't really like the comparison too much, because like Cooler does have, of course, the medium chance additionals. I think that's what people are really pointing to. But I think Cooler's design, like he had the active skill. I think that's a really important thing, like that worked with the stacking attack, and he also did eventually get a guaranteed additional super attack in his kit that, you know, I think after I think it was 10 attacks, he does get a guaranteed additional super. So like comparing these two, I'm not really like, I see it, but I think there's better comparisons to make, and you know, when talking about two of these characters. Oh, that's the first reply that you're talking about. Oh,
yeah.
Just massive. Yeah. No.
All right. So, you want to go ahead and get started with what people are saying? I hear you though.
I mean, no, I like, if I was gonna make a better comparison, actually, I think that I like comparing this character. What I've been doing in my recent videos is comparing them to the Blue Evolution Vegeta and Kaioken Goku LR, the physical one that got the EZA during the 9th anniversary.
Right.
I mean, if we take a look at what they're doing, they both are Rainbow Orb changes. They both get, you know, stats per key sphere obtained. They get the additional, what's it called? Well, Blue Kaioken and Evolution Vegeta get additionals per Rainbow Key Sphere, but then this Vegeta gets up to 5 additionals based on Key Spheres. Like, they want to collect all the Key Spheres, but then think about that character from last year's, they have high chance additionals, and then critical hit, man. It just like it's really stupid how restricted that is.
Right.
You see characters, even that character that I mentioned, like they just get crit 24 key for free, and they're like obviously designed to be more of a damage dealer, which is what this guy is kind of designed. I think they have an active skill. Like I don't know, just
I like how the bar is just they have an active skill. Like that's.
I mean, this guy doesn't.
I know. That's what's funny about it.
Absurd, honestly, but
I got you. All right. Well, we've been going for 5 minutes here. Let's go ahead and get what the people have to say. The first one comes from Raudo, good friend of the channel here. An added sentence, apart from him changing random key spheres into rainbow, to have another one where he changes key spheres except rainbow to STR to help with his additionals. Maybe some damage reduction after getting a certain amount of orbs too. So you'd be kind of thinking of the Evo Ken mechanic where they get damage reduction per rainbow orbs is sort of where he's going. So I think that was a fun comparison that you already have made, talking about Evo Ken and, you know, them getting the crit chance and the damage reduction for the rainbow orbs, and they're also self-sustaining with their changing. That was like a solid easy A, and this was not even like a headlining character for an anniversary like Vegeta is.
I mean, like, it would make them better, of course, but with this, I don't think that addresses what the actual issue with the character is at all. I think that the actual issue with the character is he's a slot 2 damage dealer that doesn't do damage until like later on in the fight, and then like later on in the fight his intro runs out, and then like sure the consistency with changing the random key spheres to STR would help, but I don't think it's gonna be a thing where, oh, now I'm suddenly going from 6 orbs to 10 orbs every turn. And even then, the additionals are still medium chances. It's like it doesn't fix the default issue that this character has. And I feel like even if he only got like, you know, even if he only gets 6 orbs or something, you know, he still will, obviously he'll have more of an issue than getting 10 orbs. But even if that's the case with this change with the extra damage reduction after getting a certain amount of orbs, I feel like he doesn't really need it, because once he attacks and super attacks, I think his defense is higher than people probably think, especially in comparison plus the damage reduction that he could get. I don't know. I just feel like he's not really pushing the boundary when it comes to being a slot 2 character, and being a slot 2 character, he doesn't have to worry about defense as much. I mean, if he gets super attack aimed at him, obviously it would be nice for him to be able to live that, of course, after he attacks, but he doesn't really have trouble with that. The trouble with him is he doesn't do anything like in terms of the role. Like he doesn't do anything like outstandish compared to other top tier characters, right?
Something that's really
that's my part, really.
Yeah, something that's really important in especially like modern character design is finding a defined role for the character. Sometimes they knock it out of the park, right, where a character can work in one spot or the other and it doesn't really matter. But if you don't have like a master of something in your kit, it can be a little bit of a problem. And you have to think about like who would you deem to be like a top tier like slot 2 sort of character right now? Like who's like someone that comes to mind where it's like, yeah, this is the standard for what a slot 2 should be? I think that's sort of where like
Goku.
Okay, got you. So Super Saiyan 4 Goku, right? It's night and day. Like these characters are not even close right now. Like we're talking about Super Saiyan 4 Goku in the scope of he's the second best character in the game, right behind Vegito in the tier with Beast, and then you've got Vegeta who can barely even get past like worldwide download celebration characters, if even that.
Even bringing up T-Wars, Super Easy A Boo Ultimate Gohan.
Yep.
Like it's just a straight up better version of this character. Arguably, physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku once he's transformed, I would probably say he's better than this Blue Evolution Vegeta, honestly. Like, because he has high chances and he can do 2 of them, and he has actual. Like he has his crit, he's just there with his critical hit, right? And you know, Vegeta, it's like you need those additionals for that. Like it's really that crit, man. Like why does he get 100% crit chance after 7 supers, and then he has a medium chance to get them? And then it's just like situational, because you know you could say, oh, I finally get 10 orbs this turn, but then the boss is like at 20% HP and you get like 2 additionals anyways. You know, like there's a lot of things when you actually use these characters in game, you know, especially on a high damage team with UI Gokus, and then you have Jiren support floating around. It's like not gonna get like, even if you like, the thing with Vegeta is that even if you start getting all these supers, like if you get a really lucky like 5 super turn,
Mhm.
you might not even get all those super raws off because of the fact that he will actually be doing good damage at that point. But then you probably kill the boss and then you don't even
Right.
get that off, or then like he doesn't crit, so he doesn't do. It's either like he'll hit a potential crit, or you don't build him any at all and he doesn't do damage. It just, I don't know. Even if like he doesn't crit, like the damage will still push through, especially with the UI Gokus and stuff like that going around.
It's tough. Yeah, you really do sort of have to go through like a bit of a mini quest, if you will, to like get this character where you feel like he's comfortable, right? Because a lot of the screenshots that you see in terms of the damage is with the UI Goku domain up and stuff like that, and it's not always just going to be like right. And it's not like the amount of runs that you can just consistently get that often is not like a 100% thing. I'd say in terms of like the more modern red zones, we know we're talking about like the Vegeta story one where these fights are a bit longer and the bosses have hundreds of millions of HP. It's a little bit more consistent, but not every fight, because people are still like talking about the Gogeta and the Janemba fight. Like, what are the odds that you're getting that UI Goku domain off in there? The answer is you're not.
The thing is, like, those fights are longer and they're nice and they could be indicative of what the game will be. Blue Evolution Vegeta could look better there, but it's still a thing of the first like 7 turns you're not even going to be critting with this guy,
right?
And it just like holds the team back overall. And then you just have characters that release the celebration that just get it for free. Like, again, Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And on top of that, Super Saiyan 4 Goku is also supporting, like, obviously at a much greater amount. And then you look at this Vegeta and it's like, okay, he's designed to be slot 2 with UI Goku, but he's not even doing anything to help UI Goku specifically or the team. He's kind of a very selfish unit in that situation, because even though he does, like, the orb changing will always be nice, and in that sense, he does help the team a little, but he wants to get those orbs, and like asking for 10
10 is crazy,
right? I think asking for 10 is a lot. I would have rather they capped it at 3 additionals, but then there are high chances and then it'd be way better, right?
Gotcha.
And then just give him crit at 24 key. Like, there's a lot of changes you can make to this character, and that's where you could be like, well, you could make all these changes to make him better. That just shows how many holes he has to hit. But that's just, we're going off one topic. Let's see what other people are saying.
All right, so thank you, Ralph, for that reply. I think just to kind of sum that one up is I'm sure we're going to have a lot of replies in here where players were just like not going to like fan-made concepts, right? Where it's just like, this is stupid. Like, we're talking about like just the dumbest character in the game just to make him good. And I'm sure that's kind of what the case of that one was, where he didn't want to just be like, okay, yeah, he just gets guaranteed crit frame 1, only needs 2 orbs to be good and stuff like that. But, I think that there is some validity there, but what that one was like, this is how we make him better, but it's still not even enough, I don't think. But this one will be good. You see in this reply here?
Yeah, I'm reading it, and I think it's just like, it's just a thing where you get it. It's like, it's a situation where it's like, oh, even with just 3 out of 7 supers, this guy tanks better and outputs more overall damage.
Yeah.
Is that even like true?
I'm not sure. Let me read this one before you get going for those who are just watching in the background.
Yeah.
He's absolutely, this one comes from Towelette. He's absolutely strong enough, but doesn't have the bells and whistles that get people excited. Game warping actives are more impactful and interactive, but this guy tanks better and outputs more overall damage than Super Saiyan 4, even with just 3 out of 3 to 7 supers, I think is what he's saying, or 3 out of 7 supers. Units like this have a place. And then it's a screenshot of Vegeta doing a 50 million attack stat, which obviously is it's an impressive number, but I'm sure you got to do a whole lot to get there.
So I would say units like this having a place, I think that's true, because this guy's an orb changer. He has good link sets. Like, he's still, I would say, like, if you're ranking all the characters in the game, still probably in the top 30 range, which, is not bad. Like, this guy, again, like I said, is still a good character. But I think people aren't understanding, like, the difference between him being a good character than him being not on par with the brand new anniversary characters themselves, right? And in this situation where you only get 3 additionals with this guy, additional supers, right? I mean, like, he will have good defense, right? I think, especially if he's getting like 7 attacks in that turn, his damage reduction will be pretty substantially high. But I think this is ignoring, again, a lot of the things about what's going on in the game itself. And I think this is like, okay, he'll tank better than Super Saiyan 4 Goku and output more damage. I just don't know if that's true, because like this guy is not even guaranteed critting throughout, I think, a majority of the fight. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is guaranteed critting. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is also providing, you know, like if you're someone who would consider this, Goku's providing the supportive abilities, right? Especially to counter characters.
Yep.
With counter characters, especially, the amount of damage he will add to the team based off of his own abilities is a lot. And then, like, the thing is, I feel like a Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's stacking, and he probably has way more defense than people assume he does. Just on an initial glance, like if this guy's at like, I don't know, it feels like at 700k defense or so. Keep in mind, he gets what is it? If I do the exact number here, so he gets 44% per 4 key, right? And obviously 24 key would be the max there, so that would activate 6 times. And then essentially he's getting 364% defense on super attack. So if this guy's at 700k defense at the start of turn,
he's like almost at 3 million, right?
Yeah, he jumps up well past 3 million.
Well past? Okay.
Yeah, well, I say well past, but it's 3.2.
Yeah.
And then that's not considering the stacks he'd get that turn either, right? And then he's also providing damage reduction support, defense support. He's also has the heal in his back pocket, which I don't know if you guys know, but that heal could activate multiple times in battle, which is also really stupid. Then he just is getting everything for free. Just guaranteed crit, guaranteed additional super attack. Like everything for him is just given to him. And then for Vegeta, you kind of got to go out of your way to make him look good. And then he's not even helping the team out. Like with like his, well, like it's rainbow changing again, I do want to point out, but like not to the effect that Goku is, not for multiple turns. And then like you don't have to worry about Goku building up or anything like that, right? Pretty much. I think Goku also has the team protector ability with the giant ape. I just feel like it really is okay. You could say the stats specifically are better, but the stats alone at this point aren't what make a character best unit in the game. They have to have a team protector mechanic. Maybe they're supporting, maybe they're healing, the ease of what they do things in, you know, the consistency in how they do this, right? A character like Tech LR Broly, the EZA, has like massive like attack.
Yes, what?
Right? I'm gonna leave. No, but that guy could do crazy attack stats, but
yeah,
obviously it's a thing where he doesn't like have any of these extra abilities that these new characters have, and that's what this Vegeta is missing, right?
I had a thought when I was driving yesterday about this guy, because it's, again, I was thinking about this video in advance, and with this character, the issue almost entirely is like where he dropped and the situation that he dropped in, right? This is what people have marketed at this point like as like the biggest anniversary ever, right? And this is one of the headliners of that. It's very important. Part 1 sets the tone. These are the characters that are going to be the most memorable, except for like situations like Beast Gohan, which is not every year. But with that, imagine like this was a character who was like a December Carnival, right? Or a Part 2 LR for like Golden Week or something like that. Like, I don't think the discourse would be as hot around this character. And it would be like, okay, it's fine. And one thing that you also have to consider with this guy, and this is just sort of a general thing overall with the game, is when you want to do this 3 LR thing, where it's like, okay, how do we make this memorable? Let's do 6 LRs during the celebration, and then on top of all those other EZAs. So in total, you know, how many kits overall are they designing during this anniversary? Like 25 or 30 or something like that? And with these new characters and assets, it's like there had to be compromise somewhere, right? One of those compromises that you are seeing is that the Vegito, and this isn't a big deal, I'd rather see this, but Vegito only has 1 super attack outside of the counters. Goku only has 1 super attack when he's in the giant ape form. And then this Vegeta, I don't know how this happens, but just missing an active skill. And clearly, it's easy to say that that was part of the compromise with this character. And if this guy had come out where he would have had a little bit more time, a little bit more resources to be allocated to him, a little bit more time to just be like his own thing, I think this wouldn't really be as much of an issue. But the problem is when he came out and he's put into this spot where these are going to be characters who should, in theory, this should be like cut and dry, number 1, number 2, number 3. And for 66% of it, they got that, where number 1 Vegito, number 2 Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and then there is just this immense difference in quality between these characters. And not even having an active skill for an anniversary character is definitely just not acceptable. And with that, he doesn't. It wouldn't be as much of a problem as well if he just had a kit to boot, where it's like, okay, he doesn't have an active skill, but he's insane. But the answer is he's not insane. Can he look super impressive? Absolutely. But you kind of just went like off about how his damage might not even be as high, or his defense might not even be as high. He can look impressive, but the answer is just like, it's not consistent enough. And
because the thing is, like, it's like RNG, like I said, and one thing I want to say, just to add on real quick before you continue your point, is again, you could say the character doesn't have bells and whistles that get people excited. I mean, you like bells and whistles, like I feel like maybe you're saying like, oh, just the thought of him having an active skill or something like that would make people like more excited, but it's not even just that. It just gives him more things that he could do, because outside of this, his kit is very cut and dry basic, right? He's not, and then even then it's like well, I'd say that, but it's like very RNG dependent. It's like, how to explain it, he's doing what is needed to be a good character, but like I said, he's not setting
himself apart, right?
Yeah,
because like we talked about, like as you were going on about like the team protection ability, right? It wasn't Beast Gohan's immense damage, or really it was his tanking ability, but what was like the key thing about Gohan that kept him on that pedestal above insanely powerful characters for a really long time, right? With like basically all the way up until Vegeta came out, it was like, to me, this guy was always the best in the game. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just his damage, it was a lot to do with his defense, but the main thing to me was the key support that he was giving when he was getting hit. It made 24 key basically free every single time, and then also just basically free access to a team protection ability. And team protection abilities are essential in terms of like modern characters being like the best in the game. What is a team protection ability? You might be asking yourself. A taunt, a giant form. You know who has a taunt? Vegito. You know who has a giant form? Super Saiyan 4 Goku. What does Vegeta have? Right. What does Vegeta have?
Nothing. Right.
He has high stats. Sometimes.
Yeah, like all the other best characters in the game will have high stats.
You know who has high stats? Tech Easy A Broly, Tech LR Broly, right?
Intel R Broly. Max stat, right?
Right.
Defensively.
And even then, he has a team protection ability.
Tanks has high stats.
Right. And his protection ability isn't as direct, but the ability to revive for free, basically, that's a team protection ability.
Yeah.
We're talking about Fatboo being like the most underrated unit ever because of that alone.
I mean, even like Scouter could be something. Right? It's the thing of, like, even if his stats were higher than the other characters, like you say he could have a place, it just still, like, that's not, I just feel like it's kind of not addressing the actual reason people are upset. It's also ignoring that this unit comparatively is missing all this extra stuff, like I said, because you could look at Vegeta in a Twitter clip, he does 7 supers, and then I was like, oh, you know, even like 3-4 out of 7 supers, and he could do some pretty good damage to the boss, and you're like, oh wow, see, this guy's actually underrated. But then you're just ignoring the actual reality, I think, of the character, and not even just like inconsistency wise, but just in comparison to everyone else, because everyone else has turns where it's like, oh wow, they look really good, but then they're also doing 6 other things, right?
Right. Okay, so that one, you know, good point there from Towel, just basically saying that, you know, this character is fine and we don't need to do anything with it. But I do, the point there, I think that him having a place is true, right?
Yeah, he has a place. He's a new universe Survival Saga leader with UI Goku.
Yep.
Like, I see the idea behind them. And obviously you could use him in any event and still beat any event. Right. That's not the discussion that I think.
Yeah, and that's not the bar at least at this point in time. Like when we're recording this, that is not the bar, right? Like, because almost like we talk about like the Planetary Destruction team can basically do that, and that has no anniversary characters.
I mean, it depends on how your view is as a player, right? For me personally, I like comparing characters to other characters, because if the bar is beating events, then you could take the Golden Week team from 5 months ago and beat events right now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. I was reading them as Minato was talking there, just to kind of get to one that we haven't really conversed about as is. Here is a suggested change that we could do. 40% damage reduction for 6 turns, and after the 6 super, additionals should be high chance. Or after the 6, what do you think this is? So 40% damage reduction for 6 turns, and then again after the 6 super, is that what they're implying here? I think.
Yeah. So no, that's talking about the intro. So the intro is 30%, and then after 6 supers, it's 30% extra reduction too. You say that should be 40%. I think that's a fair. And then additionals should at least be high chance, and he should always be super effective. That could resolve a lot of things. I think he should just crit personally, but yeah, no. If it was like he's super effective, and then his additionals are high chance, and he just gets the extra reduction. Again, that will make him better for sure, but he still will feel like he's missing something.
Right. I guess. Extra, right? I guess the big question is maybe there is something in the replies here, but the big question is like, what is required to get this guy to 3? What is required to get him to 2, right? And unfortunately, the answer is just something that they cannot do, and that is like he needs an active skill, right?
Well, I mean, they could be like on the 5th turn, targets all attacks to this character, guards, and gets 30% reduction or something.
Right.
But that also kind of sucks because obviously it's not something you can control.
Yeah.
It would be better than nothing, obviously.
Yes.
But it's a thing where I don't know. Maybe it could be like even if it's when you fall below an HP level, then it activates. So it's like a safeguard mechanic in the sense where kind of similar to certain revives or something. Where if he, like, let's say you fall under 77% HP, he guards and then targets all allies attacks to him for 1 turn.
All enemies attacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I was gonna say obviously, but like, yeah, I didn't clarify. And then that could be like something that could add to his passive when you like, yeah, we could talk about his easy right or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, still, he could do something beyond this, like stat support. You know, would also be nice at this point, or key support to allies. Considering that, again, even with the Rainbow Orb Chain, he's very stingy.
Yeah, you I only stepped in there because you said all allies attacks. So it's like, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'm just kind of stupid. Also, for me, it's 4:30. I haven't really seen much stuff.
I understand. I got you. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next one here. I don't want to skip too many people's replies, you know, because I did skip a decent bit there. But easily fix his chance to do super. So I guess he's saying make it a great chance, make it a high chance. 2025, and yet we're getting medium chances to super still. That was a question. It should have been high chance to super and maybe give him more defensive utility in slot 1. Okay, I understand that, but like when we're making these, usually you kind of want to specify a little bit, right? Like what is the defensive utility you want to give him for slot 1? And this is also a team, I think reps of U7 especially, or if you're just running them on like Earth Protecting Heroes, I don't think that like being slot 1 right now is like the biggest one of his issues, right? Would it absolutely make him better and put him more on the top tier if he was like a solid slot 1? Yes, but I don't think that's just like just him not being slot 1 is like, that's not like the big issue with this character, because guess what? There's a lot of really good characters that can go in slot 2, right? We're talking about, Minato mentioned it earlier, but a character like Int Buhan, right? Like, I don't think I've seen one person say anything negative about that character, and he's a slot 2 character, right?
Because, like, I mean, if we compare, like, in Buhan, like, well, it doesn't even Super Saiyan 4 Goku, like, you don't have to be a slot 1 character to be a good character, of course, and I'm sure, like, this person, you know, I've seen around the community does understand that. I feel like with the UA Gokus and your Survival Saga team and stuff like that, even like this character doesn't need to fit a slot 1 role, so I didn't mind that he was in slot 1. But like, again, if we compare him to Buhan is also healing. Buhan has the crit assist at the start. Buhan has supports, right? And he's not as even arguably orb stingy, and he's just getting consistent additional super attacks. His stats low key are just like super high as well.
Yeah.
And the thing with his Vegeta is, again, his kit doesn't really, I guess, flow into each other, right? So like, even just high chance supers, like, would it happen? Would he have bust the game if he had high chance supers? No, I mean, like, you could probably still argue he's not be top 5 with his high chance supers, right? It'll help him, but it's not gonna fix that this guy's lacking something extra, right? And I think that would be a nice step to making this guy a lot better, like the high chances, because then you get the guaranteed crit more. Me personally, you know, if you wanted to make him more slot 1 viable, I would say,
up the damage reduction number, guard.
Easy way is just Scar and then up the damage reduction number. I mean, Yeah, that'd really be it. Maybe his intro, just make it not run out.
I think one big thing with the slot 1 defensive utility is we are coming off of a year where most people were telling you it's like, why is Beast Gohan the best unit in the game? It's because he's this slot 1 turn 1 character that just doesn't take damage, right? So I think the evaluation of a lot of characters is like, oh, we want them to be like Beast Gohan, where they're this slot 1 defensive utility character, because that's what people have been telling me why he's number 1 for the last year, right?
Yeah. I just... I don't want to like keep repeating a lot of these same points that I'm making, but one thing I do want to point out about his design, like I have his kit literally pulled up on the side right here.
Yep.
It's just one thing I really don't like about this guy is that even if he had these high chances to super, he like, okay, it'll help out, but by the time he gets all of his super attacks and gets crit still, like his intro runs out and then he loses that attack. So it's like, even when he gets the guaranteed crit, his damage numbers will go down because he loses his intro. And then his defensive numbers will, you know, stay even. Like, it's like, this guy builds up, but at the end of the day, he doesn't gain too much. He loses things during battle still. And it's basically equivalent to what he is building up to in the first place. So it's not even like, oh, this guy is finally built up, he's like way better. He will be better, but losing that intro buff makes him lose a lot too, right? It just funny. It's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, it's crazy where we're at. I lost where we were when I went back. Yeah, we have a lot of replies here. There's no way we're going to be able to get through everything, but we'll keep trying, right? Let's see. 3 additional attacks with the medium chance. Super with 5 key spheres. Yeah, I mean, we basically... The 50% crit chance on 18 keys, I guess, is interesting, but I'd rather just be guaranteed, just to kind of, like, speed run that one.
I mean,
right?
At this point, it's like these characters are getting guaranteed crit for free.
Right. I mean, it's like...
I would be okay with it. Like, it's better than nothing, but...
You say, like, even at that point, but, like, hell, like, I mean, even, like, AGL UI Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta, it's not hard to get to 24 key with them, right? And that was, like, guaranteed crits. And even if you don't get that, the additionals are guaranteed crits. So it's, like, it should be pretty easy to get there.
If they really wanted to make this guy special, like, if they really wanted to, they would make his super attack effect give all allies, like, 7% dodge for 2 turns.
Yeah, I think so.
Where it's like, okay... You have Blue Evolution on 1 turn, the super attacks, the floater, and then the UI Goku next turn gets the 7% dodge before he essentially would even be able to attack. So like Tech UI would get 77% dodge. EGO UI would start off at 84%. Maybe you don't have to be 7%, it could be 5%. But like, I think that's a way where it's like, obviously he's designed to be used with UI Goku in slot 2, and that provides extra defense. Even if it's like, oh, he could also provide just defense on a super attack to all allies like Super Saiyan 4 Goku does. Imagine like dodge and then 50% defense or something to just like get on his unit super attack effect.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Right? Instead of stacking attack, because what is stacking attack gonna do for this guy? Like he doesn't have an active skill. That's what stacking attack is mainly for. So it would be way better off if he actually just helps the other characters on the team, like the UI Gokus, right? And then that's like an ability where it's like, okay, he's not necessarily team protecting, but he's still helping all the other characters out once you have him in the opportune spot where you want him with the UI Goku, right?
Right. Okay, so moving on to the next point here. This one is he's locked to one specific team build with Universe Survival Saga. I don't know why I said juice, but I would remove the unit super attack effect entirely and give him greatly stacked naturally, or at least give him regular stacks on the non-super attack. I guess he meant the unit super effect, the non-SA super effect.
Yeah,
the
non-SA is what I assume.
Right.
I mean,
because like, you know, yeah.
I feel like the stacking is like, again, it's like pointless on this guy. Like you'll see bigger numbers overall. Like, what is it really? Nothing that brings you over the edge, right?
Right.
Especially because over time, like I said, he'll lose his intro anyways.
Exactly.
So it's probably going to be a net loss in damage unless you can't consider the crit. Which is, it's such a funny design to me, man. I'm sorry. I feel like Honestly, I think the unit super attack should have just been better rather than just like you know, what did he say about the unit super attack specifically?
He wanted it to, so it says have it's like at least give him regular stacks, right?
I mean, if they removed it, sure, but I feel like,
well, yeah, he just doesn't want that effect like, so he wants this unit super attack effect to just not be here, and like all of the effects from here just go to here. Like he just doesn't want this to exist, is what I think is what they're trying to say, right?
Or it says it'd be cool if they just got rid of the unit super attack and made it an active skill.
Well, yeah, but that's like the whole marketing on the character, where it's like, oh look, UI Goku's in the art and stuff like that, and it's just from the active skill. I don't know. Well, I guess we are talking hypotheticals here, so that does make sense. But
I mean, if
right,
even if
I see
active to be on the art.
17 and Universe 7, like all those guys are there, and they're
yeah. So like, I think that would be way better. And then still make them stack attacks so that the active skill actually does damage.
Yep.
That'd be cool. And then it could also be a target skill. Like imagine it's like on the target skill he gets a lot of defense, and then he also gets like dodge chance because UI Goku's on there. And then it's like, okay, well he has his damage reduction that kind of could be built up, but then you can also just dodge as well, just straight up. So I think
gotcha.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of like perspective here that we haven't really seen with, like, you know, people haven't been talking too much about the unit super attack, right? It's just kind of just been like he's not good enough or stuff like that. But let's go ahead and move on to the next point here. And fumble is a little too much. I just asked the question. I didn't say he was. But maybe I'll say it in the title. Who knows? My main point is that I prefer to run the int version because I prefer gimmicks over damage plus new animations. If he was a transforming Vegeta, he would have no problems. They are trying to force the int version out without giving something special. That's a tough one to digest there.
But see, the thing, you say that the int one.
Well, saying the int one is better, yeah, I get that, but it's like it's everything else after that. It's like,
well, okay, they're trying to force the int one without giving something special. That just means like, obviously, as a brand new LR.
Oh yeah, they're trying to replace him. Got it.
Yeah, except like you said, it's not really a thing because
same name.
Well, yeah, same name, but like in terms of just design specifically, you look at the evolution and, like I said, everything flows way better with what he's doing compared to what this blue evolution Vegeta is doing.
Right.
And he's just overall a more consistent character, right? He also he's even like giving allies crit chance for 2 turns on his super attack effect. He has just the guaranteed crit. He has the active skill. He has the revive skill. Yep. Yeah. Even like turn 1, he gains the guard ability plus damage reduction, which we've seen as a pretty big staple on characters nowadays. Getting guard and plus damage reduction, or dodge plus guard, right? Like a combination of those 2 things was really helpful. And it's like, okay, yeah, why couldn't this Blue Evolution Vegeta have had some situations where he got guard? Like, what if he guarded in slot 1 like Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku?
Right. Maybe it was like, yeah, what if they gave him like extra damage reduction, like even more damage reduction if you ran him alongside a Universe 7 or a character named Ultra Instinct Goku or something like that. It's these are like mechanics that are not like, you don't have to introduce like a whole new kit to the, or a whole new thing to the game in order for him to guard, to have damage reduction. Like characters literally like get that like for free these days, right? Like almost every modern release has guard and damage reduction. So it's like, I don't know, it's tough.
It's just the value overall the character for the one is like, I would say I would want to use the one more than the SGI.
Yeah,
honestly, in terms of not even just like being better or not, but it's just like of pure enjoyment and having fun.
Yeah,
Int one is just a more fun character.
I feel like in Dokkan, like what's fun in Dokkan is when a character is consistent, right? They're not the one that's just constantly making you angry at the game. And I think maybe the mindset of the devs with this one is like kind of like what this player here is saying, where it's like, oh, he has shiny new animations and he's a new LR, so I'm just going to outright want to replace the old one with the new one. But like, in fact, if you actually like sit down and you play the game and you use both, it's like, how do you not come to the conclusion that the Int one is better? I don't know how you don't. Especially if you have like, most players, I'm sure, have that character like the Int one, like with more dupes and stuff like that, and with the easy A and with the utility. It's like with the revive especially, I think is the biggest thing. Even though it is a little bit harder to get than HDL UIs, I will say, but just that utility and doing something for the team is something that this character is not doing. So at least with the same name update, you can run them both. But again, I just like, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who would rather run the STR one over the Int one at this point.
It is funny because we could have all this discussion here, but then we come back in like 3 weeks and the entire thing is flipped upside down because of these.
And and this is just like it's I can't talk. It's part of the trade, right? You want to discuss what is the community talking about? Let's discuss it, and then if we're wrong, we're wrong, right? Like I literally made a video talking about like how Vegeta Super Easy A is going to be crazy, and then lo and behold, he wasn't. But I thought at the time it's like this guy's going to have crazy damage reduction. Super Easy A is going to be dumb. And sometimes we're wrong, or sometimes videos don't age well. It is what it is. But I think it's good to have discussions like this. Because it's like, there's clear, even if the game changes, that doesn't change the fact that the character doesn't have an active skill and is still selfish. Like, that's not going to change just because bosses get harder, right?
Exactly.
One guaranteed additional super, I wouldn't hate that.
I mean, yeah, if it was, like, again, that would point him to being more like Ella. It's like, if he got a guaranteed additional super, I think that would work. Get rid of one of his medium chances, just make him launch an additional super guarantee.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to a next point. How many more of these do you want to do, Minato?
I mean, that's up to you, man.
All right, let's do a couple more, and we'll just kind of see where we're going from there. This video is about 40 minutes. I know most of you are not used to my videos going this long, but, it's fun to talk about this stuff. But the first point is, let's do 3 more, so we'll do 2 more after this one. I don't think he was necessarily fumbled, because he can still work for his teams, but he's definitely undertuned. He's got the tools to be a great unit, he just needs more. Make him Cooler 2.0, so they're saying he'd rather him be more like Cooler. Guaranteed super after so many supers performed, and an active that nukes the enemy. Yeah, it's this active skill, man. This is really like, this is the big point. If you take one thing away from this video, it is just mind-boggling that he doesn't have an active skill.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think this is a good point. I mean, there's not really much to say. Because even with an active skill, you could add so many effects to an active skill.
Support, crit chance, even like get more additional attack for himself, right? Where,
attack nullification.
Yep.
Like, imagine like an attack nullification for Goku Frieza.
Yeah, so someone, when you were scrolling, or when I was scrolling through a couple replies, somebody said that. I don't remember who it was. Maybe, I don't want to like go too much, but like one of the repliers said, like, what if this is basically like this pose right here? This is when he takes out like one of Topo's attacks, right? They literally said that. They're like a super attack nullification, and I don't know his art. And so it's like they're literally referencing a super attack nullification essentially right here. Right, because he's breaking through one of Topo's blasts in that reference right there. Yeah, Hakai. So, it's like, it's the little things, right? Like, sometimes these characters, they're just missing these big things, and this is one of the cases with this guy where, like he said, right? Not fumbled because he is good, but it's just, we're looking for more. This is the biggest celebration in Dokkan's history, at least how the way it's been marketed, and we want the headliners to be memorable, and this is one of these guys where I feel like we could easily just find ourselves in June, like, not even using him anywhere. And that's it's a scary thought, because again, this is an anti-headliner. This is a character that they're hyping up. This thing that people are gonna want, right? His kit is great for yellow coin 2024 units. Yeah, sure. All right, let's look at this one before I didn't even read the whole thing, but small changes would do this guy wonders. Take away the 30% damage reduction on 6 supers. So like, I guess they're trying to like reallocate it. Give him 10% extra damage reduction on his intro with 30% defense added as well, and make the intro permanent. Yeah, so the damage reduction would be permanent, right? Yeah. Then give him the STR Kid Buu active skill. So here we go. Give him the STR Kid Buu active skill after 4 turns or performing 5 supers. He's goated after that. A more crazy change, in my opinion, would be changing the additional supers. The first super is a 70% chance, second is 50, and the rest are 30. So it's like, more than likely you're going to be getting at least 2 supers. There's a good chance, or a high chance, you'll be getting the 50%, and then the rest are kind of flukes. So it's like most of the time with this character, you'll be seeing triple supers. But, honestly, I think the second one should just be 100% chance. Like, I think
at that point, it could just be 100%. I like the idea of this, where it's like, as you do with the more supers you get, obviously you'll still get more supers, but they are just 30%. They'll still help out, but it's not going to be something where it's like, oh, I'm only getting 6 key spheres. I'm probably going to be screwed out of activating later parts of my passive, right? And then another thing is just making the intro permanent. I think it's just a thing, because it's like there's no point in him getting 30% reduction on 6 supers if it's just gonna replace what the intro has. Like there's gonna be, maybe if you get really lucky, certain turns where they overlap, but I would rather just the extra reduction and give them defense into there. That'd be really good. STR Kid Buu active,
I'd have to look at the exact effects of that while you're talking, just because I don't.
20% attack and defense after 6 attacks are received.
And then it's also like what? Like if there's a Majin Buu Saga enemy, you can do it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what would this be, like a tournament of power enemy? You'd be able to do it right away? So like in the Jiren red zone? Sorry.
Maybe, yeah. No, it's okay. Instead of that, I would just literally give him a target skill.
Yeah.
I mean, Universe Survival Saga, there's no targeting on that team.
Yeah, I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like a lot of these changes we're not asking much, right? Like I get that asking for an active skill when he literally doesn't have one is a lot, but it's also like, you know, this game has been doing these for a long time, and Beast Gohan's active skill is nothing mind-blowing, right? It's not a long animation, it's not crazy. Isn't it just say like, is that all you got or something like that? It's literally just him like, he just takes a blast, he says the Raditz line and then moves on. Like that's literally all it is. Like that's what. So it's like. All Vegeta would have to do is just be like I'll surpass my own limits on my own way or something like that. I think that's his intro, but like he would just need to say a line. Like it's not that hard, right? I feel like,
I mean, again, they can just get rid of the unit super, make his active skill that, so it's like an attack plus, like how Blue Gogeta, his ability is a target skill, but it's also an attack. Like they could just do that. They just move the unit super attack to his active skill, like people are saying, and that would just be better and give a better effect, right? So
yeah, just looking through a couple of these, JC Gamer usually cooks. Let's go ahead and give JC Gamer the last point here, and unless it's not good, then we can move on. But I think they needed to give him a high or great chance to super instead of medium. Other than that, I think it's time to kill off medium chance to super. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. That was like high. That was like the last point, right?
I think if it's a thing of like a character, he already gets a guaranteed additional super, then in certain, like, you know, even like AGL LR Ultimate Gohan, where he has those 2 additionals with immune chances, like obviously it's not really good per se, but like I'm okay with that as long as he has, like, you know, if he had like a guaranteed additional super, so then it's like 2 extra bonus.
Right.
But then like you look at Glorio, and then it's like Glorio has great chance, high chance, great chance, guaranteed. And it's like, okay, well, Gloria's doing that, and then multi-turn supporting, and then 80% dodge as well.
Right. And yeah, and guess what? He was just a New Year's unit. He wasn't an anniversary headliner, right?
Yeah, he's just a TUR.
All right, let's do this last one. I see an Ichigo picture, so I'm going to go with this one. Yes, he was a fumble. His design just seems all over the place to me. He builds up too slow. He requires too many orbs. He essentially needs to crit to be viable. You've talked about that already. And Rainbow Orb changing is nice and all, but I feel like he's going to age out relatively quickly. Again, the perspective on a character aging out is really tough to say, because for all we know, like worldwide download won't provide like that major of a power creep, or hell, maybe even part 2 and part 3 aren't like mind-blowingly different from terms of difficulty. So we don't really know, but I guess I could see your point. And like selfish units are always kind of a scary design choice, right? Unless they just run the game, but it's definitely obvious like right away just from looking that this Vegeta does not do that. So like if Beast was selfish, I don't even really think it would be that much of a problem just because of how defensive he is, but he's not. So it's like, you know, if you want to say he's a fumble, that's fine, but design being all over the place, I definitely can agree with, right? Because like it's hard, the side of a good designed unit in almost any gacha game, right, is like their role is defined. You know what you want them to be, and with this Vegeta, that's definitely not the case. Like you want him to be slot 2, but it's like it doesn't even feel like he's a premier in that role. And it's obviously not slot 1. So it's like you're not slot 1, or you're not like that great of a slot 2. It's like, what is your role? And the answer is you just really don't have one.
Yeah, no, I think he's a fumble.
Yeah, right. As like the closing thought, right? It's like this guy could have been so much better, and he deserved to be better. And it's like I put this in a reply somewhere, and the reprieve here to me is the fact that we had and still do have a premier evolution blue Vegeta that is a very good character still. At times, like getting his revive can be a bit frustrating, but I still don't think that just like makes the character bad. And at least having like a character, I think Truth said this when we were doing that podcast with him, but he was like, he ran 2024, right? And this was one of the best characters in the game. He stayed in that top 8 to 1 range, to 2, you know what I mean? Like he stayed up in that top range for the whole year, and this evolution blue Vegeta being a little bit of a disappointment, thankfully isn't just like a Vegeta shaft, because like again, it, you know, because we've talked about that in the history of Dokkan, where like Vegeta characters have gotten the short end of the stick. This is one of those cases, but hey, Vegeta's part of the Vegeta unit who's the best in the game, right? So not the end of the world, but again, definitely would have liked this character to be better. Do you have any final thoughts for this guy?
No, I mean, I don't know. silly character. I feel like I've said all too at this point.
Right. It's a tough situation because again, like when it comes to giving this guy the big buffs, it's like we're like the buffs that we're asking for are like would have to come in the form of like literally like post-release buffs, which is something that they're not. Have they ever done that? Like just redesign the kit like what Legends did with Goku and Frieza? I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yeah, so it's
I don't
like
think they'll do it for this guy.
No, because I don't think he necessarily needs that. He's not that bad.
At the end of the day, you could run him and he clears content.
And
then they'll just have to be like, well, it is what it is. And like they're not gonna update this guy. At best, they release a character that makes him better.
Not impossible.
I just like who knows? I mean, maybe one of the Part 2 LRs, like the Rivals Part 2 LR.
Yep.
What if it just like
a 17 Goku and Frieza that does like some insane 77% support for like U7.
I mean, we see what Super Saiyan 4 Goku does, so yeah, sure, it's like a slot 1 Goku Frieza card, and then it's like this character there. I think Goku Frieza, I'm not really a fan of them releasing now, but if they do, and they could just like be like, oh yeah, they're actually the reason why this guy's out to run them together. To me, it doesn't make sense though, because I think very clearly this guy is designed for Tech UI.
Yeah. Very clearly.
Tech UI is like able to sit slot 1 against these EGO bosses, especially with this Vegeta, and just kind of help. Like their type coverage and everything like that. Just even the link set, they're gonna link way better. Like this character is clearly designed for Tech UI or even EGO UI Goku.
Yeah. And they're not hiding that either. I mean, like you're looking at my screen. Who's this? You know what I mean? Like the second we saw the art, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna work really well with Tech UI Goku, and that, like it's like that's pretty obvious. Like that was the design intention because there's no active skill. It's just like his big boy attack is an attack where he works with UI Goku, the Unit Super. Like that was the main marketing of this character. It's like, oh, look at this amazing Evolution Blue Vegeta and UI Goku what if team up, right? And it came at the price of an active skill, unfortunately, which is essential for characters in the Big 2-5, we'll call it, right? So there you guys go. I hope that you did enjoy this longer form discussion here. You know, this is 50 minutes of us complaining about a character, but also making sure that you know that like we still think he's good, just could have been a lot better. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did make it to this point, I appreciate you watching this video all the way through. I know it's a long one, so hopefully you enjoyed what you were eating while you watched this. But if you did, don't forget to leave a like before you go and subscribe if you're new, so that way you don't miss out on any of the fun Dokkan content we're posting. Hopefully I'm wrong about this one and he ends up being amazing by the end of the anniversary, but I don't really see it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.